as you were saying, as you were saying before, this game has influenced other games
Right.
that have come out since. And one of those games that just came out now, of course, it's a little bit of a disaster, but is Cyberpunk 2077. Yes. So you've been playing it, right?
I've been playing on PS5, unfortunately.
Actually, probably fortunate because I heard PS4 is even worse to try to
PS4, Xbox, not so good. A lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of bugs. I mean, it's gotten better since launch. I mean, with the updates and the patches, but it's still. I mean, it's playable on the PS5. It's like 60 frames per second. It's nice and smooth. You could totally tell. At least I noticed that it seems like they took a lot of cars and a lot of people walking the streets out to get those frames up to 60, which it makes the world kind of empty in certain ways. I mean, you could still, some of the side quests are still good. I'm probably about 25 to 30 hours in, I would say.
What percent do you think you are of the storyline?
Probably about halfway. Because, you spend so much time wandering off to other things, doing other things that, you could totally tell, though, but that they said they shortened, the original story was supposed to be longer. And then people complained that Witcher 3 was too long of a story, which I think is... If it's a good story, what's the difference? I never understood, if it's a good story, who cares? I'll play a 60-hour story if it's good.
Yeah.
If it drags out too much, then I get it, but...
You'd be surprised at, how many people complain, they think, for me, I'm like you, if a story's really good, if it takes me 60 hours to make it all the way through, great. But there are actually people that be like, after 30 hours, I'm pretty much done with this game. So, you're spending... this money, get the most for your money. I don't understand people's thought process.
Why not just complete it to its fullest,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you could tell there's a character that you first meet in the beginning called Jackie. He's a really cool character, you know what I mean? And you could totally tell, and he's very, I don't know if I'll spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
I'll keep it spoiler free for now.
Yeah.
But, you could totally tell that there's a certain part in the game where you see yourself with Jackie and everything's kind of, you see yourself, it goes into the future, but it does small cutscenes of you with him during missions, but you're not actually playing the missions. And then it goes to 6 months later, or 2 years later, something like that. And all of a sudden you're on another mission. So it seems like to me that stuff is it's either going to be DLC, or that was the stuff that was cut out originally for the story, which is actually really cool. If you slow it down and you watch those pieces of the story. I want to play those parts of the story, but you can't.
Maybe, like you said, it'll be a DLC down the road.
Certain things like that
disappoint. Yeah, but he's not done with the game either. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
It's like a go back in time.
Certain parts like that of the game disappointed me because it's and that was one of the scenes they showed you in the when they were showing you the game before it came out. They showed you those cutscenes, and you're like, oh, cool. They made you think that, at least how I feel, that you could play that part of the game, but really it was like a cutscene that just went through a couple of cutscenes to 6 months later, a year later, I forgot what it was. So it's kind of misleading, and they did that a lot. I feel like they misled a lot of people in this game. A lot of footage, the original trailer, which came out 8 years ago, was it? They said 2012, right? Something like that. I
think when it started development, they started developing.
And I also heard recently that development actually started in 2016. So they actually had 3-4 years of not even developing it yet.
Wow.
So number one thing I think they did wrong is that they probably talked about it way too quick. You know what I mean? Because what it is if you're going to mention a game 8 years ago, people expect it to come out within 3 to 4 years. And you keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Instead of waiting until 2016, maybe mentioning it, and then it gives them more time to delay it to have more of a completed game. But since it was so much long ago, I think people gave them pressure on, it's got to come out, it's got to come out.
No,
I think
it's not the people. When it comes to that thing, they might bring it up. We don't care. Take your time with it. What probably really got happened is they got funded, and whoever was funding them said, all right, it's time to bring some of that money home. So they probably had to rush it out. I guarantee that's what it is. They would have took the time to pop. No one wants to put out a piece of shit.
No. I mean, I actually feel bad for the developers because it's really not their fault.
No, and they're getting kicked for it.
I heard they worked long hours before. They were pushing to get this game out. I think, and even some of the developers, I think, said that the game should have been delayed more. It needed more time.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make, and it's really disappointing. You see, CD Projekt Red was a good, like The Witcher 3 is amazing, but that had issues in the beginning, but they fixed that game up pretty well, and, but that game was great.
So how long do you think until, because they're probably going to patch and update?
Well, they have 2 major patches. I think they mentioned something about February and March. They got 2 huge patches. And then also they got to come out with this next gen console version of the game, which is supposed to be, I think they're going to put ray tracing in there, and they're going to make it more look closer to what the PC was. I'm curious to see how it's going to look, but but it needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of work. I've never seen, if you look at the videos of these bugs, you'll never believe. I've never seen a game that messed up. It's true. The game.
There was some videos I saw on YouTube showing how the heck is this going?
I didn't. To be honest with you, I played it on the PS5. I haven't experienced too much. I mean, a lot of those could have been when the game first released within the first week, and then they hurried up and patched a lot of it. But I know a lot of people it's crazy stuff. It does crash though. I have to tell you, I'll play for like 30 minutes and it'll crash.
How about as far as when you are able to actually play the game? How is the gameplay, and how is it? Is it any at all similar to the Deus Ex series? Like, especially some of the newer ones that have come out, like Mankind Divided and Human Revolution.
Yeah,
is it any similar at all?
Very. They definitely, you could tell they were influenced by Deus Ex. Definitely in the the RPG elements of it. I know Deus Ex was an open world, so it was more linear, right? So it was more set path Deus Ex in a way, right? It was like, it wasn't really...
There were some paths, some of the areas. Some of the areas, they weren't that big, but you could do different things.
Like you couldn't go from one part of the city in Deus Ex to the next. You couldn't really do that.
Yeah, portions.
It was only like big portions.
It was laid out for you.
Right? It's what I remember.
From what I remember, as far as like the overworld... I mean, some spots you could, like I remember the first mission, the first part with, the Statue of Liberty mission.
Right.
It's not huge. It's not a huge map, but
you could roam
there's
around.
Different ways you could go to get in. You could go through the front door, like frontal assault, or you could find a secondary way to climb over and get in. I think there was at least 2 different ways to get into the Statue of Liberty area over there. Some other spots. I remember, later on in the game that there were some spots where it is just linear. It's just like go to this door and go in.
Right.
But, inside the levels, though, there were different places you could go, like the different, the ducts and stuff like that you can go into. And, or you could just go straight in head on if you have a tank, type character developed.
Yeah. But Cyberpunk is similar in that way. I mean, you could make this different decisions based on if you want to sneak in, you want to hack your way in, you want to disable certain things or stuff like that. That was similar to Deus Ex as well. They also have, ways you could sneak in certain there. But overall, I think Deus Ex had more options than Cyberpunk does. I think a lot of dialogue in Cyberpunk, you use, no matter what you choose in the dialogue, it doesn't make a difference, which I'm a little disappointed about, because if you play the option, let's say you could play Nomad, you could play Corpo, and then the other one was Street Kid. Those are the 3.
There's only 3. I thought there was 4.
3. 3 for now. I'm sure there's going to be another one eventually. But so I played Nomad. Nomad's like the guy outside the city who's just like rugged. He's dirty. He kind of like works on cars. He's kind of like low income kind of thing. Where they live in trailers and stuff. And you work your way in. But the only thing I heard that's different is the main maybe 1 hour of gameplay, and then everything's the same. No matter what. It's
kind of weird.
Yeah, and there was certain times I would, on the dialogue, I would say nomad dialogue, so meaning that only the nomads could say this to the person. So I chose that, and it was just an option to talk, but it wasn't an option to change the outcome. So I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like, why would they? I just feel like there's so much stuff that they wanted to put in the game that they just never had the time to put it in. You could totally tell.
Now, as far as the control goes for the game, is it more like a first-person shooter in terms of or is it more RPG like The Witcher? Like where The Witcher is.
No, it is first person, but it's not really a fast-paced. Don't think of it as like Call of Duty where it's like constant, boom, 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 The enemies are a little spongy, which is basically like Borderlands. Like you have to some of the guys you have to hit a bunch of times before they go down, which is fine. That's more of an RPG-ish type of thing. I wouldn't say it's very fast paced. It's actually very slow paced. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be like, you go into the city and you can start shooting things and stuff like that, but it's not. It's more strategic than it is just go in there and shoot. You could do it, but there's a lot more to it than just that.
Yeah, I'll have to.
I
got it, but I don't know if I'm gonna open it up yet. I think I'm just gonna wait until.
Honestly, when you start hearing all that stuff, it might be fun to play, but I think I would just wait until
if I was you,
crash.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna stop. I got through about half of the story, and I'm like, you know what? Why am I going to continue the story and not enjoy it? I might as well wait until it's fully finished, fully patched. The next gen version comes out, and then I could probably enjoy the game more. You know, like going through the game, and then all of a sudden you're in like a really good moment, and all of a sudden, the thing crashes, and you're like, it kills the mood. You know?
Yeah, it's amazing that it's happened. I remember at first I was wondering if it was just a select few people like making a big deal about it. Just like their version or whatever, or their system. Mm-hmm. There was a problem with their system, but. After that, like a day later, it's like you realize, oh wow, no, it's the game is actually really that bad in the way that it's just.
Dude, I heard like you're supposed to be able to play it and buy it for like PS4.
Yeah,
and you can't even really play it.
Well, it's even advertised. I mean, the game says PS4 on the box. It comes as you buy it as a PS4 game. It's just an upgrade for the next gen consoles if you have a next gen console.
Yeah, but its systems can't even handle it.
And it's
especially if you have just a regular PS4, not the Pro.
It's not even the full upgrade too. If you're playing on PS5, you're playing the PS4 version. Mm-hmm. It's just runs smoother because you're playing on a more powerful system. I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I wouldn't recommend it on PS. I'd recommend. I guess you could play on PS5, but don't even bother with PS4 or Xbox because Xbox Series X. So I wouldn't recommend playing any on those because it's just going to be, there was times where people had 15 frames per second. How are you going to play at 15 frames per second? It's like playing like...
Oh, my God. Choppy as hell.
Yeah, you can't play.
I remember seeing that it supposedly seems to be better on the PC than the consoles. Right. But...
you said you were watching Pilsen play, right?
Yeah. He plays it on PC?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, supposedly it works better on the PC than the consoles. Mm-hmm. However, I know I considered buying it for my laptop, but
good luck playing it on that.
I just feel like my laptop's probably going to explode if I put that in.
Yeah, probably will. Listen, don't get me wrong.
There's smoke coming out of it.
I've seen videos of this game. The game is gorgeous. I've seen videos of it on the PC with like full ultra settings and stuff, and the game looks great. I could see what they were trying to make. You know what I mean? Like the game inside, there's part of the games that are really good, and I could see that eventually the game's going to be really good. But it needs a lot of work.
Yeah,
I could see where they were if they would have been able to put out exactly what they wanted to put out. I guarantee you it would have been amazing game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is amazing how it was so highly sought like anticipated. And so,
you
such
throw
hype.
Keanu Reeves on it, and bam, now everyone's going crazy.
That too, yeah. But it's amazing that it was so highly anticipated, and yet the launch was probably the worst launch ever for
a lot of games.
A video game. I mean,
right.
Although I've played some games that had pretty terrible launches, but
in this like sort of outrage, though, I mean,
no, the outrage end of it, no.
I mean,
a lot of backlash.
The only thing I could. To me, like, I guess would be similar would be, I guess, probably was Star Wars back in the day.
Star Wars Galaxies?
Dude. I remember getting that, staying home from school that day to get it, and then getting it at like 11 in the morning, and then not being able to get into like 11 o'clock at night just to get into the server.
Dude, my character.
To make my character.
I made my character. My character stood in the same spot on Tatooine for about 2 hours. It didn't even move. I think maybe his leg moved once, and that was it. Dude, there was so much. It was so overloaded with people.
Well,
Yeah, it was.
what was it? Vanilla Diablo 3 was like, what was it? Error 37, I think was the big thing. You couldn't even get in that game when it first came out. That took hours and hours. It just would not load. It was terrible.
Dude,
But,
I'm
you know,
like,
eventually-
I'm like, Dave, you in yet? Nah. You in yet? I think I am. It's a black screen. Oh wait. I think I see. No, I don't see it. No.
I mean, they got their act together a little bit after a while, but it still wasn't enough though. There was still a lot of bugs even to the end. There was bugs in it, and
But we still played it.
yeah,
We still kept going because
we still spent that money on monthly.
We were hoping that it was going to get better, but
Was no World of Warcraft, huh?
no, definitely not World of Warcraft. It had potential though.
But-
It did have potential, but it wasn't thought out right. They had a lot of unbalanced. The game was way unbalanced.
What's the new Star Wars MMO? Old Republic? Is that the new MMO?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know too
yeah.
much about it though, but
I mean, it's been out for a while. I heard it's not even that bad either. I touched it, I think, a long time ago for a little bit and then stopped because I was like, I could just play World of Warcraft. I've been playing that for so long. So, but I know that Star Wars game. I hear good things about it. So, you get bored of one thing. Maybe it's something to try out
Yeah.
instead of playing that one. If you wanted to get back in that kind of scene.